Tone is in the hands. No, wait, tone is in the strings. Never mind, tone is in the pickups. Yeah, wait, no, tone is in the wood? It's called tone wood, right? No, tone is in the neck material. Tone is in the fretboard material. No, tone is in the pots. Tone is in the capacitors. Tone is in the strings. You need El Nico to get good tone. You gotta have rosewood to get good tone. You need a really expensive guitar to get good tone. Tone is in the amp. Tone is in the pedal. Tone is in the mind. Change your nut, change your tone. Change the speakers in your amp, that's where the tone comes from. Rosewood. Swamp ash. Can't have good tone without mahogany. It's in the picks you use. You need tubes to get good tone. Quad cortex. Hey everybody, Jace Allen here, welcome back to the channel. So if you're like me, you've been chasing tone. For the longest time, I've been trying to achieve a certain guitar tone, and I think that's where we're all sort of at as guitar players, especially beginner and intermediate guitar players or bedroom players. We're all searching for this magical tone. And it's really hard to find. You watch guys on YouTube and they all seem to have really great tone. You listen to your favorite albums and all the guitar players seem to have really good tone. So I think a lot of the guitar gear industry is pretty much based on people like you and me trying to find the perfect tone. And that's what they're selling us is better tone, perfect tone, get that tone, 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 tone. So I've been going through YouTube and I found some examples of the type of tone that I am trying to achieve. And I saw some videos that featured a pedal called the Beetronics Wannabee. And this pedal is basically two pedals in one. It's a blues breaker on one side and a Klon clone on the other side. And we all know that everybody's gone Klon crazy lately. So I saw some guitar videos where this pedal was being demonstrated and the tone was incredible. And I thought, you know what? That's the tone I'm looking for. So I bought the pedal. And it's not exactly a cheap pedal. This was over $200. But I wanted to try it out to see if I could get the tone out of this pedal that the dudes on YouTube were getting out of their pedals. And then I ran across another video that I'll also show that sort of shows the tone that I'm looking for, but it's with software and an inexpensive Squier guitar. But it seems that all my attempts, I've tried many, many times to duplicate this tone, fail. So what am I missing? What are we all missing? Where does tone come from? Let's check it out. Okay, so let's first go through some of the videos that I watched concerning this Wannabee Beelateral Buzz pedal. And you listen to the tone in these videos and it is absolutely amazing. See? Listen to that. That's incredible. That's exactly the type of sound I'm trying to achieve. I mean, listen to that gritty growl. It seems like everybody I watch that is demoing this pedal, it's got that tone. Different guitars. Same tone. Totally different guitar. This one looks like it has P90s in it. And they all show the settings they're using, and we'll get back to why that's sort of important. So that one's a little less similar, but they all have that same tone. So now listen to this pedal, just plugged into my audio interface, and we'll run it. Now granted, these guys are probably using amplifiers. The one example I'm going to show you, it's all software, but they're not using any external pedals at all. But the premise should be the same. If I use an amp model as my amp, put it on a clean setting, right, then I should be able to plug this pedal in and get the same type of tone. And it doesn't matter. I've tried it on a physical amp too, and it doesn't seem to make any difference. So let me just show you here real quick. Okay, so I've got the pedal. I'm going to set it up. Okay, so I got the gain on my audio interface set really low because that's what everybody says you're supposed to do. And so let's go into Reaper here, and we just got a clean amp model set up. Okay, so I'm going to use my Epiphone SG. This is probably the most expensive guitar that I have in my lineup right now. So, and it doesn't seem that guitar type makes much of a difference when it comes to these videos, because they all kind of tend to sound similar. So I don't think that it matters if it's a single coil or a humbucker or a P90 style pickup. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice is that going right into sort of this amp model from the pedal, seems awful quiet. And I think the one reason is because they're stacking the distortion on, so they're going into an amp that's already got some gain to it. I'm pretty sure. So let's try out the Klon. Now it's similar. I'm getting a similar tone, but it's sort of missing. And my tone is a lot darker, but that could be because of the EQ is set. So the one thing that I sort of realized was, I'm pretty sure, so the frustrating thing is, I don't think I'm articulating this very well, is that when you see a pedal review, you have no idea, well, unless the reviewer publishes their signal chain, you have no idea, you know, where is that pedal in front of an amp? Is it in front of a modeler? Is it going directly into the audio interface? Is it going, I've seen some of the videos where it looks like it's going into like an Axe Effects or something. So here, the 60 cycle hum, there's an amp behind him that's got a microphone on it. So I don't know if he's coming through that particular amp or not. That could be a real high-end amp with a good tone already. And then this microphone, who knows what what type of microphone that is. It doesn't look like your average SM57, so it could be coloring the tone a little bit. Same with this one. He's got a Friedman amp back here. Actually, there's quite a few different amps in the background. And if you look, he shows what amps he has, but it doesn't say what particular amp he's going through. So you've got a $220 pedal going through, a Mesa Boogie or a Friedman amp. These amps are pretty high end. And then you got this guy here, and you can't really see what amp he has in the background. And then this fella here, he's got a whole pedal board. So is that pedal going through all those other pedals. That tone is incredible. And he's got some amps back here, so I have to assume that he's going through some kind of amplifier. Because if I set my pedal to these exact settings, it doesn't sound anything like it. So, and I don't know if this may not be a big revelation to other people out there, but to me it is, because I always kind of thought of the amplifier as a way to make things just louder, and the pedal was the thing that created the tone. And I'm beginning to discover with this particular pedal that it's a combination of the two, and actually the amp is doing most of the heavy lifting. So if you sort of take a look at this one here, if you add some drive to it, and then you bump your mids up pretty high, see, you start to get a little bit of that growl. So that's a little bit better. So that sounds pretty good. I think that's not too shabby. And I noticed the one thing, and it's the same with the physical amp too, because I'm gonna switch to an amp pedal. It's a pedal, basically an amp built into a pedal, which sounds way better than the modelers. But if you push your mids all the way up and then keep your treble and bass sort of at 12 o'clock, and then the presence gives you a little more bite, it's a little sharper, I think. And then you drive your amp. See, that's one of the things that I always kind of thought, that you kept your amp on a clean channel and then drove it with the pedal. But the pedal just sort of adds, it's weird, I don't know how to explain it, but the pedal just sort of adds some flavor, and you have to have some drive already in there. See, to me, that sounds pretty good. It's pretty close. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to an actual amp. So now this is the Joyo AC tone. And what this mimics is an AC30. So it's basically an amp without the speaker. But it doesn't have the power amp in it to drive a cabinet. You still need an amplifier, but this, has all the tone controls and everything that a regular amp would have. And so it really kind of sounds like an amp when you're going directly into your audio interface or a speaker. So we're going to set those up, and then you'll see that, well, you'll hear that you get quite a bit better sound from this particular setup. See, you're already kind of starting with that tone. See how it's got that throaty sound to it? So that is, again, it's the high and low tone controls are about at noon, and the mid is about at 3 o'clock. And on this pedal I have the levels the level set all the way, the drive at about 1 o'clock, and then this knob called voice at about 10 o'clock. Okay, so then if you add in the Wannabee, it's starting to sound a lot closer. So that's sounding pretty good. Of course, I'm out of tune now. And if we switch over to the blues breaker, so it's getting closer, but it's still not quite there. And again, it doesn't seem to matter what guitar or what type of pickup. That's the neck pickup on this single coil. Here's a humbucker. That's pretty close. That's probably closer than I've gotten. You get the idea there. So let's go on to the software model that I was talking about. And this one comes from Rhett Shaw's channel. And he's a really good guitar player. He's been at this for a long, long time. And check out the tone he gets out of this Squier, I think it's a classic vibe, and that he said was stock, he didn't modify it at all, and a garage band amp model, like plug-in, I guess you could say.
Representing the budget setup today, we're going to be using the Squier Classic Vibe Stratocaster. For now, we're going to start with GarageBand. We've got an instance of the stock plug-in pulled up here. Obviously, this is supposed to be a Vox AC30, but for just a jumping off point, this does not suck at all.
I listened to that tone.
Actually, this is pretty impressive.
I mean, that tone from him just strumming, that throaty tone is amazing. So, but watch what happens when I try to duplicate this tone. Okay, so this is an old MacBook Pro that I got off of Goodwill auctions for less than $100. It's from 2015, but it's still running GarageBand, and it's got the actual amp model that he's talking about, which is this British sort of clean. There it is. I set everything exactly how he shows it in this first clip here. EQ is all set to the same, gain set to the same, everything is set to the same. Now the only sort of thing that I don't know is how he's got his audio interface set. Now my audio interface is this iRig USB, so I'm coming out of that into my audio interface, my PreSonus Revelator IO24, which is my Windows, because my main machine is the Windows 10 that I do all my editing and everything on. So I'm basically coming out of the, the audio interface for the Mac into my audio interface so I can capture the output, the sound. So it's coming out of the headphone jack of what you would hear if you were listening to it with your headphones. So let's check that out. Same guitar. Okay, so again, I have no idea what his audio interface settings are at, but I did duplicate the settings of the amp model. So let's check it out. That's pretty good. And I notice on his guitar, I think he's on the neck pickup. I don't think the neck pickup on this sounds all that great, but that Squier could be running, way different pickups, hotter pickups maybe. But that sounds pretty good, but it still isn't quite the same tone. I mean, listen. See that? I mean, of course, I'm out of tune. That doesn't help. I mean, it's got some of that tone to it when it's on the humbucker on this particular guitar. I don't think that sounds very close at all. So let me switch guitars. Let me play a few different guitars and we'll see if we can alter the tone that way. So here's a Firefly Les Paul style. It's got pretty decent pickups and I think these are Alnico. I think the pickups in that Hills guitar are Alnico, except for the humbuckers, those are ceramic. And again, see that? That growl, that
I can even change
snarl.
Microphones to put a 10, so this is 412.
See that? Brown, brown, and that snarl, that tone. It's like, I don't know. It's just amazing. I don't know. And then here's another Firefly with Alnico pickups, and we'll play the. I'm pretty sure he's got his switch all the way up to the bridge or the neck pickup. And these pickups almost sound clean compared to the others. So I don't know. I'm not sure that this. I don't know. I think the humbucker sounds better, but I mean that sounds pretty close. But that guitar, is it the guitar? I mean, I'm doing the same setup. I've got it, got it right there on GarageBand. I'm going through, a decent audio interface. I mean, audio interfaces aren't really designed to, color the tone of the guitar very much. That's what the amp models and things are for. So, but as you can see, that's the exact amp model that he's using in that video. Pretty much got it set to the same settings. So it just kind of blows my mind how these guys get that tone, and it seems really impossible to recreate it. You know, and you could argue, well, it's, you know, it's a Fender guitar. Well, he's using a Squier. This guy's using a Fender. The other dude had, well, this is, here's one with a Les Paul style. See? That's pretty close to that tone too, and that's a Les Paul style guitar with humbuckers. It's just kind of mind-blowing where, and then here's the other example.
So, level 3 being, of course...
See, now on this particular video, he's having trouble getting that tone too, and he's going into the HX Stomp, so I'm assuming he's using that as his amp. So is it the amp? Is the amp the secret? You know... There's another one. Listen to that tone. And this one here, they show the amp, a Benson Amps Monarch Reverb. That's like a $4,000 amp. And he's going through, well, look, could be a Universal Audio, but you know, how much of this equipment is he going through as well as the pedal? So I don't know. It's kind of baffling, kind of frustrating, kind of I don't know. I'm gonna do a lot of research to figure out if I can find out the trick to getting that tone. I think I've come pretty close with some of the examples, but I guess the whole point of this video is, one, to show how difficult it is to get the tone that you hear on a video. And another thing, that just because you see or hear a pedal being reviewed on a channel and you buy it, it doesn't mean it's going to sound even remotely similar to what you're seeing on YouTube. Even, you know, I mean, I use the GarageBand program and set it up exactly the way Rhett Shaw did. I can't imagine that my guitars are that much different from a Squier Classic Vibe. Maybe I should buy a Squier Classic Vibe next and check that out. I can't imagine that the audio interfaces would impact the sound that much. How many of these guys are going direct into their audio interface? How many are using an amp with a microphone? Are they using an amp with a DI? There are so many variables when it comes to tone. So that's why I think that arguments about where tone comes from and how to get the best tone are kind of silly, because there are so many variables. Wood, strings, pickups, speakers. You could get the tone perfect in your room and then throw a microphone in front of it to record it into your audio interface, and then it could sound completely different. My PV studio amp sounds amazing in the big garage where the band and I practice, and when I bring it in here, I think it sounds terrible. But when I put a microphone on it, it sounds way better. So just the audio in the room is affecting the sound. You know, I've got the carpet squares on the floor. The ceiling is a little resonant because it's just the floor joists, but the walls are wood, and then behind that is actual spray foam. There's a couple windows that sound can reflect off of. So there's a lot of things going on when we're talking about tone. And so to think that, you know, you're gonna get tone from this thing that you see or hear on YouTube is kind of, you know, it's very misleading. It's not, you're not going to get that tone that you see, because they're, you know, I'd really like someone to do a video and then show exactly what they've done, their entire signal chain and all the settings, and it would be interesting to replicate that exactly and see if it sounds the same. I mean, it might not even sound the same even if you use all the same gear. I'm not sure why. It's just kind of mind-blowing. So anyway, I will definitely revisit this here once I do some more research. But let me know what you think in the comments. I think this is a really good topic of discussion. Don't really want to see people argue about where tone comes from, because some people will, swear that they know, that their tone is perfect and that they know how to get the tone. And, but, I don't know. There's a lot of variables when it comes to getting the guitar tone that you want. And if somebody knows the secret to mimicking the tones that I just sort of showed, let me know, because that's the sound I'm looking for. So anyway, I'm Jace Allen. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.